Bloomin'.
It's a novel.
A three-act,
Novel.
really, a novel. Maria, tell me about this novel.
Well, it's about a musical comedy that starts in the 60s. It's a Flower Child musical called Bloomin', and it's about the people in the show. They start out in summer stock, and they do backers auditions in New York and showcases. Then they go on tour and go off Broadway and then Broadway, and it traces their lives. It goes from 1967 to 1990.
Ah, Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney, summer stock, remember?
Right, let's put on a show.
Put on a show. Do you like musicals? Because from opera to musicals.
I sang a lot of musicals, yes.
Yes?
Yes, lots.
Like, what is your favorite musical? You have a favorite?
Well, I sang Rose and Gypsy, so I have a special feeling for that.
Madame Rose.
Yes, and I did Gertie in Oklahoma, which one of my characters in Bloomin' does. It's a little part. And Sweet Sue and Sugar and a lot of shows.
Now, what made Maria write this wonderful book? What made you decide to write? Because you're a writer, I know that.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, it was show business anecdotes that I'd heard, and just regular anecdotes that all my friends had that were so hysterically funny. And I said, I'm going to put these together into a book and, you know, do composite characters and whatever, but really get some of these anecdotes in about touring, which they go on a big tour, and disasters befall them. And they're all true stories.
Living in New York City.
Yes.
Great. Exciting.
Wonderful, yes.
Yeah. You're on your book tour right now.
Yes, I am.
And how's the book doing?
Oh, it's doing wonderfully.
Is it?
Yeah.
What do you have in the Hollywood magazine? Tell me about the magazine now.
Well, I've written several articles for them. I wrote an article on Gail Russell.
Have you met her?
I never met her. No, she died
How
when
can
I was
you write an article?
Small child.
But how can you write an article about someone you have never met? Come on, tell me.
Well, I had to do a lot of research on her. I was very interested in her after seeing her in The Uninvited. And
The Uninvited.
I thought she was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I had heard she was born on the same day, not the same year, the same day as I was. And that made me even more interested in her, so I studied about her, did a lot of research, and wrote an article about her. She had a very sad life and a very interesting life. She was an artist, a painter as well as an actress. And I was very touched by her story, and I wanted to write about her. So I did.
She is actually from, Santa Monica, California.
Yes, she was from California.
She grew up in California. She had she was very sad, wasn't she?
Very sad, very sad. She had a very bad alcohol problem that she couldn't overcome. And it was different in those days, as you know, Skip, because nowadays people go public with their problems. It's so different. They go to the Betty Ford Clinic, they go, and they're all over. They go on talk shows, but in those days it was hidden, and she didn't really go public with it. She just hid away. It was very tragic.
Who was she really in love with? Guy Madison?
I think she was in love with Guy Madison.
Guy Madison?
Yeah.
That was her love?
She seemed very dependent on him from the research that I did.
She was discovered. How was she discovered? Do you
remember?
The
story I got was a gentleman named Mecklejohn was told about her, that she was a very beautiful woman, and a boy told her, oh, my friend is so beautiful, she's in high school with me. And he actually discovered her there at for Paramount.
At Paramount.
Yeah.
Because you know something, Maria, there's a lot of people saying that Lana Turner was discovered at Schwab's, which is not true.
Right.
Very not true. So when you do meet people giving you stories, are they accurate? You don't know.
You have to, you know, I do a lot of what I call library research from newspapers, and I've worked a lot at the Academy of Motion Pictures, and just try to get as much as I can from the archives.
Who else have you done?
Well, I've
like Jeffrey Hunter?
Jeffrey Hunter.
Tell me about that man. He fell off the stepladder. What a horrible way.
He fell in his house, yes. But actually, that isn't really how he died, you know.
No.
He had a very, very tragic death. He was in a car shooting a film, and the car was supposed to have an explosion outside the car. Instead of exploding outside the car, it imploded, and he began to bleed from the brain, and in those days they didn't have the drugs or the wherewithal to find that out. So he had
Bloomin'.
It's a novel.
A three-act
novel.
Really, a novel. Maria, tell me about this novel.
Well, it's about a musical comedy that starts in the 60s. It's a flower child musical called Bloomin', and it's about the people in the show. They start out in summer stock, and they do backers auditions in New York and showcases. Then they go on tour and go off Broadway and then Broadway, and it traces their lives. It goes from 1967 to 1990.
Ah, Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney, summer stock, remember
Right,
those?
let's put on a show.
Put on a show. Do you like musicals? Because from opera to musicals.
I sang a lot of musicals, yes.
Yes?
Yes, lots.
Like, what is your favorite musical? You have a favorite?
Well, I sang Rose and Gypsy, so I have a special feeling for that.
Madame Rose.
Yes, and I did Gertie in Oklahoma, which one of my characters in Bloomin' does. It's a little part. And Sweet Sue and Sugar and a lot of shows.
Now, what made Maria write this wonderful book? What made you decide to write? Because you're a writer, I know that.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, it was show business anecdotes that I'd heard, and just regular anecdotes that all my friends had that were so hysterically funny. And I said, I'm going to put these together into a book and, you know, do composite characters and whatever, but really get some of these anecdotes in about touring, which they go on a big tour, and disasters befall them. And they're all true stories.
Living in New York City.
Yes.
Great. Exciting.
Wonderful, yes.
Yeah. You're on your book tour right now.
Yes, I am.
And how's the book doing?
Oh, it's doing wonderfully.
Is it?
Yeah.
What do you have in the Hollywood magazine? Tell me about the magazine now.
Well, I've written several articles for them. I wrote an article on Gail Russell.
Have you met her?
I never met her. No, she died
How
when
can
I was
you write
a
an article?
small child.
But how can you write an article about someone you have never met? Come on, tell me.
Well, I had to do a lot of research on her. I was very interested in her after seeing her in The Uninvited. And
The Uninvited.
I thought she was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I had heard she was born on the same day, not the same year, the same day as I was. And that made me even more interested in her. So I studied about her, did a lot of research, and wrote an article about her. She had a very sad life and a very interesting life. She was an artist, a painter, as well as an actress. And I was very touched by her story, and I wanted to write about her. So I did.
She is actually from, Santa Monica, California.
Yes, she was from California.
She grew up in California. She had she was very sad, wasn't she?
Very sad, very sad. She had a very bad alcohol problem that she couldn't overcome. And it was different in those days, as you know, Skip, because nowadays people go public with their problems. It's so different. They go to the Betty Ford Clinic, they go, and they're all over. They go on talk shows, but in those days it was hidden, and she didn't really go public with it. She just hid away. It was very tragic.
Who was she really in love with? Guy Madison?
I think she was in love with Guy Madison.
Guy Madison?
Yeah.
That was her love?
She seemed very dependent on him from the research that I did.
She was discovered. How was she discovered? Do you
remember?
remember?
The story I got was a gentleman named Mecklejohn was told about her, that she was a very beautiful woman, and a boy told her, oh, my friend is so beautiful, she's in high school with me. And he actually discovered her there at Paramount.
At Paramount.
Yeah.
Because you know something, Maria, there's a lot of people saying that Lana Turner was discovered at Schwab's, which is not true.
Right.
Very not true. So when you do meet people and giving you stories, are they accurate? You don't know.
You have to, you know, I do a lot of what I call library research from newspapers, and I've worked a lot at the Academy of Motion Pictures, and just try to get as much as I can from the archives.
Who else have you done?
Well, I've
like
written
Jeffrey Hunter?
Jeffrey Hunter.
Tell me about that man. He fell off the stepladder. What a horrible way.
Well, he fell in his house, yes. But actually, that isn't really how he died, you know.
No.
He had a very, very tragic death. He was in a car shooting a film.
Right.
And the car was supposed to have an explosion outside the car. Instead of exploding outside the car, it imploded. And he began to bleed from the brain, and in those days they didn't have the drugs or the wherewithal to find that out. So he had to continue to live bleeding and having very bizarre accidents, and at one point was paralyzed and had to be taken to a hospital, and they never did realize it. And when they discovered him, he had fallen in his home. He was in a coma. They thought the fall caused his eventual death. It didn't. It had been going on actually for months, and he fell as a result of actually just going into a coma.
That's what it was,
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Yes.
I see. Who else have you done? Get into their lives.
Rondo Hatton.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Got me on that one.
He's the big horror film star that was in Sherlock Holmes and the Pearl of Death. And
yeah. You got me on that one. Okay. Who else have you done? God.
Susan Peters.
Susan Peters, yes. I liked her, yeah.
And that's about it.
Have you interviewed Susan? You got her on the phone or talked to her?
She's long dead, but I know her, actually know her nurse very well, who took care of her after she was crippled.
Right.
And I had many, many conversations with her, and she's
Are you working on anyone right now?
I'm working on a Hollywood hunks of the 50s.
Hollywood?
Hunks.
Hunks.
Dreamboats, Hollywood hunks of the 50s.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted you to repeat that for me. There are a lot of hunks in Hollywood nowadays?
Well, these are from the 50s.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you're saying from the 50s.
Yes.
Like who?
Well, Rock Hudson,
right.
Tab Hunter, Tony Curtis, Jeffrey Hunter, Montgomery Clift, Sal Mineo.
Tell me about, let's get back, how about Montgomery Clift? What do you think about Montgomery Clift?
Well, I thought he was a magnificent actor.
No, sad life.
Very sad life. At the very sad life at the end. As a matter of fact, you know, his biographer, Patricia Bosworth,
right.
tried to talk to Thornton Wilder.
Right.
And he refused to speak with her. And even though she had an entree to him,
right.
and his explanation was that he could not talk about Montgomery Clift before he died. He just couldn't bear it.
Can't believe it.
Yeah.
Maria, I wish a lot of luck on your book.
Thank you.
Blooming. I love it. Blooming. Maria Ciaccia. You're wonderful.
Thank you. So are you.
Yeah, great. I love this. Great book.
You couldn't touch it, but didn't realize how much.
Jack Hammer? Is that Jack Hammer?
That's it.
That's not MC Hammer.
No, that's Jack Hammer.
Damn Jack Hammer. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Well, you know.
Wiesbaden, Germany.
We go back, Skippy. We do go back.
We do, certainly do. You know something? You look exactly the same way. I haven't seen,
Well, I gave up all my bad habits, you know.
Jack Hammer, that Hammer. Did MC Hammer steal your name? Come on.
I think he actually got some ideas from me because I was an MC in New York for many years. I was master of ceremonies, and many people refer to me as MC Hammer. I was MC at the New Cotton Club when it opened for 2 years.
Right.
I worked in most of the clubs in New York, Hawaii As You Like It, and quite a few others downtown as MC Hammer, the Village Gate. I was in a show called Jitterbug Jazz, and I was the MC of that for a year. So, and I did Bubbling Brown Sugar, and I also MC'd that show, literally. So MC Hammer was quite a tag that people pinned on me. But I think that this guy, MC Hammer, that isn't his real name, of course. He got the idea that MC was a free expression, which it is, master of ceremonies.
Right.
But and Hammer could be anybody. That's Sledgehammer.
Right. But Ball of Fire, come on, let's get with it real quick. Ball of Fire, you're the songwriter of Ball of Fire.
Yeah, great
Cherry
Ball of Fire.
Great Ball of Fire.
That's right.
That's your song.
I wrote that when I was 15 years old, right out of New Orleans.
15?
Hitchhiked to New York from New Orleans, and I had Great Balls of Fire in my pocket on a piece of brown paper. And broke all the doors down trying to get the song published, and finally somebody listened. And It was history after that.
Jerry,
I came to give it to Elvis.
You
Elvis was the man I wanted to do it.
Yeah, but how did Jerry Lewis get it?
Because I couldn't get Elvis. They say he had so many songs in the can, it would be 4 years before I got anything. So they said, we'll try this guy. And I said, well, who are you going to go with? They said, well, let's go with Otis Blackwell. He's a good friend of Jerry Lee Lewis, and he could get it in. So Otis Blackwell and I collaborated on the song. Next thing you know, man, Jerry Lee had put the song in the #1 position and stayed there for weeks on end. I never looked back. To this day, I'm glad Jerry did it instead of Elvis.
Why is that?
Because it lasted longer. See, people don't cover too many Elvis songs. They don't cover them. The singers won't cover him. But everybody covered. I don't know, but everybody covered Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee. Dolly Parton, Tom Jones, Rolling Stones, Bette Midler, Mae West, Tiny Tim, Billy Joel. All these people keep recording it, and of course I keep laughing all the way to the bank.
So you're making still money to the bank, right? Going back.
Proper.
But how did Jack Hammer? You wrote the song, but I met you in Wiesbaden 25, 30 years ago. Let's get back.
That's
right.
right.
We were working the bases.
That's right. I had written the song before I got to Wiesbaden. The song was just coming out. But that's how I could afford to turn down so many gigs in Wiesbaden, because I had royalties.
Because you were working the officers' clubs, the NCO clubs, the EM clubs. We were doing a lot of shows there together.
You remember that show you did where you broke the pencils?
Oh, the sergeant. Oh, that's right. And Mannheim.
You forgot about that,
I'd forgotten the Mannheim.
Mannheim, right.
That's right.
We were auditioning for the shows, and they were trying to grade and rate everybody with their little pencils.
Right.
And you went down and said, nobody's rating me with these damn pencils, and snapped them.
I remember that, of course.
Everybody talked about that a long time.
Jack, living in Germany.
Yeah.
Why did you stay so long in Europe? You stayed there a long time.
Oh, the Geld ist gut in Deutschland. Ich glaube, das ist kein großes Problem machen.
Yeah, but you stayed in Germany a long time entertaining those military.
The Geld, man. The Geld was good. And it was very easy. It was very relaxed. I enjoyed it. I tell you, you know, I was.
You really enjoyed working with the military there.
Didn't you? I was over there with you guys.
Not really. I enjoyed it because I was in Europe to get away from America and get away being in Europe. Is that what it was?
There you go.
That's the only reason I stayed.
The Vagabonds. Remember the Vagabonds Club?
Yes, of course.
We had a great little fraternity and community going there, and I enjoyed it immensely. You know, we had our little poker games, and we had the little shows on field day, and driving around. You know, we enjoyed it. Time went so fast because we were having such a great time.
Right, right. But you went to England.
Yeah, I went back to London.
Cleaned up in England, didn't you?
Well, I did pretty well in London.
How many songs have you written, Jack?
About 200.
200.
Yeah.
You came here to be honored here in Los Angeles now, just to be honored by...
Great Balls of Fire is one of the songs of the decade.
Right.
The most popular song of the decade is Great Balls of Fire. ASCAP award is tomorrow night, so you have scooped them already by having me on.
Tomorrow, you're getting an ASCAP award tomorrow.
Yeah.
How congratulations, Jack.
Maybe I should take you as my escort there, you know.
Well...
You got a nice suit, something?
Yeah. What's Jack Hammer doing nowadays? You're living in New York.
Well, you know, it's hard to get out of New York. I'm a New Yorker.
It is, isn't it? The greatest city in the world.
I mean, I love L.A., but you guys move too slow out here. I got to be in the middle of turmoil.
What's Jack's day like in New York City?
Oh, it's hot. It's hot from morning to night. There's something to do, man. Always, there is something going on. I'm writing a lot of rap for other rappers and songs for other singers and so on. I'm constantly writing stuff. You know, I had Fujiyama Mama, which was done by Pearl Harbor recently. A group called Pearl Harbor, and I had Down in the Subway, Soft Cell, the English rock group. So I've had quite a few things with Richie Havens and so on. So I've been pretty busy.
MC Hammer. Lucky?
MC Hammer.
Lucky.
MC Hammer.
Damn, MC Hammer.
Well, I was going to sue him for using my name, but I realized after talking to a couple of good lawyers that I had no case.
Jack, when I remembered you back in Germany, you were doing impressions, Sammy Davis Jr.'s act, completely.
Yeah, I was a poor man. I was a poor man, Sammy Davis.
That's what you were,
right?
No, I don't say poor man, Sammy Davis Jr.
Well, hey,
you were doing
let's tell it like it was.
You were doing like Sammy was doing.
Well, you don't just take a man's horse and go riding out across the prairie. I remember like it was yesterday. You see.
You do remember.
You see, that was Shirley Temple.
Yeah. How many impressions do you do? You do many voices.
I used to do about. You know, you gotta stay sharp with those impressions if you want to do them. I must do about 50 good ones. After that, it goes to hell, you know. But 50 that are really recognizable.
Those feet. Dancing a man. I saw you dancing away at the Officers Club last time.
Well, I'm one of the
At the
last
Rocker
of
Club.
the truly last of the red hot tap dancers, you know. I mean, I'm from the old tap dancing school. I tap danced all through the 60s when all the black people say, hey, that's Uncle Tomish. That was shuffling along and all of that.
Right, right.
They stopped tap dancing during the 60s. But I was one of the few that kept on because I didn't care what anybody said. I loved it.
Two brothers went to Germany. They worked all over
Steve
Europe.
and I guess the brothers'
damn,
names.
they're
Steve
brothers.
and Steve and Al, I think.
Al, yeah? They're dancers, just...
But they lost their money on the dog races.
And last time, remember when President Kennedy came to Wiesbaden?
Oh,
We
God.
were there at the Spielbank.
Yeah, at the Spielbank, the Kerr House, what they call
That's
it.
it.
Well, it's a big roulette wheel there, and everybody was in there gambling. And
That's the last time I saw you, too, really. In
Yeah.
60, I think in 63 it was, John F. Kennedy when he was there.
Yeah.
Or 62, something like that.
Yeah, that's going back, Skip.
Writing a book?
Oh, yeah, I'm writing a book about you and me and Marcia McGlory and all those people back in Wiesbaden. It's called The Vagabonds.
The Vagabonds. Are
Yeah.
you really writing a book about the,
That's right.
the military?
About the military show people who were unsung heroes. You know, we entertained all those troops and kept their morales up, but nobody ever heard of us. We were like lost over there. And the thing is that it was so many good entertainers came out of England and America
Right.
who just lived in Germany and traveled the circuit from Wiesbaden to Mannheim to Stuttgart and Munich and all those military clubs. And,
Right.
and I did a book on this. Especially, remember when this family went over the side of the road and were killed?
Yes.
Working for Gisela Gunther?
Giesler, of course.
We called her the bitch of Buchenwald.
Yes, she was.
She was tough, this
Yeah.
German agent. And what she did, when this English family went over the side of the road, when the snow and everything was on the Autobahn,
Right,
killed themselves, the whole family,
right.
somebody called her up and say, you know, the Johnson family were killed on the highway. And she said, before or after the show?
That was her
She wanted
first,
to get
remember?
her commission.
Her commission.
She wanted to make sure they had done the show. Her first words were before or after.
You spent many years, though, getting back. How many years would you say, Jack?
In Wiesbaden?
Yeah.
Well, not just in Wiesbaden.
Not in
Remember,
Germany,
I
in
kept
Europe.
a flat in England.
In England.
So I was going back and forth about 9 years.
There's another lady there, Paula Watson.
Oh, big
Yeah.
Paula. Oh, God. Paula is still in London, I heard.
Why do you think all the American entertainers like us,
Well, not all of them,
a
but
lot
so
of them,
many.
many went there and stayed there?
It was a kind of a relaxed atmosphere that we appreciated, I think, at the time. It was conducive to just doing your thing and not being hassled. It was pretty hassle-free,
Uh-huh.
you know, of what we were accustomed to. And I think it was a kind of a welcome release. See, I myself never aimed at being a superstar,
Right.
quote unquote. I enjoyed doing my act and getting well paid for it.
Right.
And I think because of the royalties that were coming in when I was so young, I started getting royalties very early on songs like Great Balls of Fire, Fujiyama, Mamen, Peekaboo, and all those songs, the stupid songs.
Peekaboo.
Yeah, I call them
Right.
stupid songs because it's funny, but the stupid songs lasted.
Yes.
The good songs I wrote, people don't know who the hell they are, you know. Like
do you
Plain Gold Ring for Nina Simone.
Where do you, yeah, that's a great number.
Yeah.
Where do you get your ideas from songs?
Just grab them out of space, Skip.
Grab them.
Just grab them out of space.
Interesting, I like that
I mean,
magic.
the sky is full of ideas all around you all the time. Just reach up and pluck an idea, man, you know.
This book you're writing,
Yeah.
coming out soon?
Well, I hope it'll come out while you can still sue me.
You look great. You look absolutely great. How long you been in the business now, Jack?
Oh, my
Show
life. I was born in the business. I was one of those dressing room kids, dressing room truck
Parents were in the
kids.
business?
Yeah, New Orleans.
In New Orleans?
My
grew up?
father played saxophone, and my mother was a church choir singer, and, you know, a la Aretha Franklin type.
Do you remember the first time you were on stage as a child?
Yeah, they couldn't get me off.
Where was this?
In New Orleans.
Do you
In
remember?
New Orleans, right. I remember
What did you do the first? What act? Jack,
The first thing I did on stage?
Yeah, on
Tap
stage.
dance.
Tap dance?
Yeah. I had a pair of sneakers with Coke stoppers under them, you know, Coca-Cola caps on
Uh-huh.
them. My brother fixed the Coca-Cola caps under the sneakers. We could stick them in there so you could make a sound.
Right,
We couldn't
right.
afford taps.
Uh-huh.
We used to stand outside the dance school, my brother and I, and look through the window and steal the steps.
Oh, so
We
you
wound
never,
up dancing better than all the kids that could
so you never
afford it.
studied tap dancing?
Yeah, but we stole
you stole
the
the
lessons, you
ideas.
know, looking through the window.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's how we got it. We couldn't afford to go in there and pay 50 cents a lesson. At that time, that was a lot of money.
Tap dancing today.
Yeah.
What's happening today with the tap dancing?
Well, it's coming back. It's coming back. It makes the rounds, and it's hot again on Broadway.
It is hot
yeah.
again.
In fact, I was on Broadway for an audition. I didn't want to be in the show. I just wanted to show off. I went down and tapped for those kids, man, and they couldn't believe it. They said, how do you make all that sound? Where's this sound coming from? Because all they could do is a time step, you know. And they saw me triple rapping and paddling and rolling, and they couldn't believe it because they hadn't seen it in years, you know. I said, well, that gives me one-upsmanship on them, you know. That's from the old school.
Did you ever meet Sammy Davis Jr.?
Yeah, you know, I met Sammy. I knew Sammy very well.
You did?
I told him I was copying his act. I used to tell him that all the time. He said, yeah, lots of luck.
Did he really?
Yeah. We had a nice rapport.
Tell me about New York. Got Jack Hammer, spiritual?
What can I tell you about New York? New
And
York
spiritual, Jack. You're spiritual, are you?
Well,
Because you
what
say
else?
you gossip, you do gospel singing.
Well, my family did, but I never pursued it as a, you know. As
You've
a
enjoyed your life?
Well,
You've had a good time in your life?
I'm still enjoying it.
I know, but you've had a good time.
Yeah, I don't regret one day. I've had fantastic time.
How about a movie, Jack? Come
How
to
about a
Hollywood,
movie?
you write a
I
song for a
write
film.
scripts. I write film scripts, and in fact, there is one small independent film company that's interested in doing my life story, the Jack Hammer story.
Right.
And I took it kind of lightly when they first spoke to me about it, but the more I think about it, I realize maybe there is a story there.
Great story.
You know, as a struggling songwriter as a kid, and well, I had a lot of versatility, and I never took myself serious. I never realized that I had the talent that people were buying.
Never took yourself serious?
No, and people were buying what I was doing, but I never took it too serious. It was like I was having so much fun with it.
Is that the secret, though, of your success? Never took yourself serious and just having a good time in life?
I suppose I would say that. That would be the bottom line.
So it is having a good time.
Yeah,
really, basically.
enjoy what you do. You know, if you're good at it, if you enjoy it, and you do it very well, you're going to get paid.
Right.
So let that be the last thing you think about. But go first for the perfection of your craft.
So what would you tell the young little kids out there, hoofers, want to be hoofers, want to be entertainers, want to be actors,
Perfect your
singers?
craft.
First education first.
That's
don't you
right.
think?
Go for it. Well, I mean, so far as academia, yeah, well, I think it's important to have a good education, but I don't think college is necessary for everyone. I have to admit, I didn't go to college. I used to tell them, yeah, I went through college, in the front door and out the back.
You knew Eartha Kitt very well. Did you meet Eartha?
Yeah, I was on a show with her on Broadway, but I was one of the small performers in the show. Eartha, you know, was always very aloof.
And bitter.
Yeah, well,
Why so bitter?
I don't know. She's
had everything, the best.
Maybe that's why she's bitter, because she had everything and there's nothing else to look forward to.
What do you mean nothing to look forward to, Jack?
She already had so much, you know.
But she's bitter. She's just bitter.
But
Every time I interviewed her, she becomes bitter.
Well, I don't think she should be too bitter, because she's had a great life, a great career, and everybody loved her. Orson Welles says she was the sexiest woman in the world at one time after he bit her on the lip, I think. You remember that?
Yeah. I saw in Paris when
Yeah,
he discovered
that
her.
was a kiss.
He discovered her in Paris. Yeah. So you're here in Hollywood right now.
Yeah,
Gonna
to
get an
my
award.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for you. I really congratulate you, Jack, because I haven't seen you in a long time.
Well, let's don't let it be too much longer.
And you just give my
Gotta get
regards
together.
to New York City, because that's one of my favorite cities.
You got to come on back, man. And
whole world.
The city's waiting for you.
Well,
the city's always there.
I'm always
waiting
saying
for
give my regards to Broadway, but never get there. The only time I was there last year for 5 minutes.
Take a plane, take a train, anywhere you can, but get there if you can.
You do a lot of traveling nowadays.
Well, I always did. You know, I was on the road for years.
Any new song in your pocket coming up?
Yeah, I've got a couple of new songs, quite a few things coming up, and I, in fact, listened for a rap number that I just wrote, which is bound to be controversial. It's called "The Ballad of Rodney King."
Oh, really? You got a new rap? That's going to come out?
The Ballad of Rodney King.
Is it already done? Okay, I'm anxious to hear that.
So watch for it.
Watch for that, huh?
That's right.